Niccolò Machiavelli was born in Florence on May 3, 1469. He was the second son of Bernardo di Niccolò Machiavelli, a respected lawyer, and Bartolomea di Stefano Nelli, his wife. Both parents belonged to the old Florentine nobility. His youth aligned with the city's peak as a major Italian power under the leadership of Lorenzo de' Medici, known as Il Magnifico. In 1494, the downfall of the Medici in Florence marked a turning point, and in the same year, Machiavelli entered public service. During his official career, Florence was governed as a republic until 1512, when the Medici regained power. As a result, Machiavelli lost his position. From 1512 to 1527, the Medici once again ruled Florence. This period saw Machiavelli focusing on his literary work, which brought him increasing influence. However, shortly after the Medici were expelled once more in 1527, Machiavelli passed away on June 22nd of that same year. Machiavelli lived in a period marked by profound political instability, characterized by a fragmented Italy and numerous city-states in constant conflict for influence and power. The Italian territory was a battleground for various European powers, such as France, Spain, and the Holy Roman Empire, and these internal and external conflicts deeply shaped Niccolò Machiavelli's political thinking. However, more than anything else, the era in which Machiavelli lived provided him with a direct understanding of the harsh reality of power and the complexities of politics. As a public official and diplomat of the Florentine Republic, Machiavelli had the opportunity to actively engage in the political life of the city, being involved in important diplomatic negotiations, especially regarding relations with major European powers. Additionally, he had responsibilities related to organizing and overseeing the city's militia, an essential role during a time of constant instability. These experiences provided him with a profound understanding of the nature of power and internal political struggles, and this knowledge was reflected in his works, especially in The Prince. In The Prince, Machiavelli proposes a radical vision of how a leader should act to obtain and maintain power. He argues that a ruler must be pragmatic and willing to use any means necessary to secure authority, regardless of moral costs. Machiavelli asserts that a leader should not be bound by ideological principles or moral illusions that could undermine effective governance. In his view, the primary objective of a leader is to consolidate power and protect the state, even if controversial or immoral actions are required to achieve this. One of the most famous ideas in The Prince is the well-known statement that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. This statement has become one of the most emblematic for Machiavellian political thought and gave rise to the term Machiavellism. Essentially, Machiavelli argues that when faced with the choice between being loved or feared, a leader should prefer the latter, as fear is easier to control than love. Therefore, a ruler must be able to inspire respect and fear, and this will help them retain power and prevent rebellions or betrayals. Machiavelli considers that although moral virtue is important, it should not be placed above political stability and the safety of the state. This vision of power is deeply realistic and pragmatic, rejecting the ideals and moral principles that dominated medieval political thought. Machiavelli is often seen as an advocate for pragmatism, for a type of politics that emphasizes results and efficiency over abstract principles. In fact, The Prince can be read not only as a guide for rulers, but also as a reflection on human nature and how people respond to power. Machiavelli understands that people are often motivated by selfish desires, and that, in order to maintain power, a ruler must be willing to play on these tendencies. In addition to The Prince, Machiavelli wrote other works that had a significant impact on political thought. In Discourses on the first 10 books of Titus Livius, Machiavelli addresses the concept of the Republic and argues that this form of government is more stable and favorable to the liberty of citizens than monarchy. In Discourses, he expresses admiration for the Roman Republic, considering it a model of effective governance. He emphasizes the role of an active and engaged political class capable of defending the citizens' black interests and ensuring the stability of the state. These ideas are less well known than those in The Prince, but they had a significant impact on the development of modern democratic ideas. Machiavelli argues that a republic must be based on a balanced distribution of power between different institutions and include mechanisms of checks and balances to prevent abuses of power. In this vision, he stresses the importance of citizen participation in the political process, noting that a republic cannot function effectively without active involvement of the people in governance. These ideas about political participation and representative government would, in turn, influence the development of modern political theories, including ideas about democracy and the separation of powers. Despite the criticism he received for his views on power and governance, Machiavelli remains a fundamental figure in political thought. He managed to move beyond the idealism and naivety of many of his contemporaries, offering a more complex and realistic understanding of human nature and the relationships of power. In this regard, he was a precursor to modern political thought, and his ideas continued to be relevant and influence political theories in different historical periods. Today, Machiavelli's thinking is still studied and analyzed, and The Prince is considered a fundamental text in the field of political theory. Additionally, the Discourses are seen as an essential work for understanding the value of the Republic and the importance of citizen involvement in governance. Ultimately, Machiavelli remains an emblematic figure in political thought, and his ideas will continue to provoke debate and inspire new reflections on power and political leadership. The impact and inspiration of Machiavelli's philosophy on modern politics. The influence of Niccolò Machiavelli on modern politics is vast and enduring. His realistic approach to governance has shaped the thinking of many political leaders, from Napoleon Bonaparte to contemporary politicians. While his ideas have been adopted, reinterpreted, and at times criticized for their apparent lack of ethics, they remain highly relevant in the analysis of power strategies. In modern politics, Machiavellian principles are evident in geopolitical strategies, electoral campaigns, and the art of governance. Modern diplomacy is often influenced by his pragmatism, and political leaders, even in democracies, employ techniques inspired by Machiavelli to acquire and maintain power. Although Machiavelli is often associated with manipulation and political cynicism, he can also be seen as a precursor to political realism, a thinker who grasped the complexities of governance in an imperfect world. Today, in an era of globalization and intense competition between states, his teachings remain an essential guide for understanding the dynamics of power. Machiavelli's enduring legacy, a realist approach to power. Niccolò Machiavelli, a 16th century political philosopher, is best known for his seminal work, The Prince, Il Principe, where he provided practical advice on ruling and maintaining power. Despite being written over 500 years ago, his ideas continue to reverberate through political thought and practice. At its core, Machiavelli's philosophy emphasizes the importance of pragmatism over idealism in leadership. He argued that the ruler's primary objective should be to secure and maintain power, even if that requires morally questionable actions. This utilitarian approach to governance often led to accusations of cynicism, and his name became synonymous with political manipulation and unscrupulous tactics. However, Machiavelli's focus on power and its complexities has made his work a cornerstone for understanding political dynamics in the modern world. His ideas have been used by both authoritarian rulers and democratic leaders alike, demonstrating their applicability across different forms of government. The role of realpolitik and pragmatism in modern politics. Machiavelli's influence is particularly noticeable in the realm of realpolitik, a political philosophy that stresses practical considerations over ideological consistency. Realpolitik can be understood as the adaptation of Machiavellian principles to the complex and competitive global stage. In this context, leaders must prioritize strategic decisions based on the changing landscape of international relations, rather than adhering to rigid ethical frameworks or ideological purity. For instance, when dealing with adversaries, a Machiavellian approach encourages leaders to use diplomacy, manipulation, or even force as necessary to secure their interests. This method is evident in modern geopolitical strategies, where countries often engage in tactical alliances, trade deals, and negotiations that may appear opportunistic or self-serving. The emphasis is placed on maintaining national power and security, even at the cost of ethical compromises or long-term relationships. One example of this Machiavellian influence can be seen in the foreign policy strategies of powerful nations like the United States and Russia. These countries, while publicly promoting democracy and human rights, often make politically motivated decisions that serve their own strategic interests, reflecting Machiavellian pragmatism. Leaders in these countries frequently rely on alliances of convenience, shifting loyalties, and calculated military interventions to maintain influence and dominance in the international arena. Machiavellian tactics in electoral campaigns. In the realm of domestic politics, Machiavelli's influence is also evident in electoral campaigns. The art of political campaigning, particularly in democracies, often involves strategic manipulation of public opinion, image control, and the use of mass media to shape voters' perceptions. Machiavelli's emphasis on appearances and the manipulation of public perception can be seen in the ways politicians craft their personas to appeal to the electorate. During election cycles, political leaders and their teams employ sophisticated psychological strategies, including disinformation, targeted advertising, and emotional appeals, all designed to influence voters' decisions. These tactics are in line with Machiavelli's assertion that the ends justify the means and that a leader's image is vital to maintaining power. The modern political landscape is heavily influenced by media, and politicians who excel in controlling their public image are often able to secure greater electoral success. Machiavelli's influence can also be observed in the way political leaders seek to manipulate their opponents. Negative campaigning, strategic alliances, and framing their adversaries as threats to the public good are all tactics that reflect his advice on how to neutralize competitors and strengthen one's own position. These practices, while controversial, are staples of modern political campaigns. Machiavelli and the shaping of modern governance. Machiavelli's teachings have also shaped the broader concept of governance. His work provided early insights into the functioning of states, the role of political institutions, and the dynamics of power. His ideas about the necessity of a strong, centralized leader capable of decisive action have influenced the development of modern statecraft. However, Machiavelli also recognized the importance of institutions and laws in ensuring the stability of the state. In the Discourses, Discorsi, his treatise on the Roman Republic, Machiavelli argued for a political system in which power is balanced between various institutions, such as the Senate, the people, and the ruler. This vision of balanced power, along with his belief in the value of citizen engagement in governance, prefigured many modern democratic principles. While The Prince focuses on the role of the individual leader, the Discourses presents a more nuanced understanding of the role of institutions in maintaining political stability. In contemporary democratic systems, Machiavelli's emphasis on the importance of a strong, active citizenry and institutions has been incorporated into the principles of checks and balances and the separation of powers. The criticisms and misinterpretations of Machiavelli. Despite the widespread influence of Machiavelli's ideas, his philosophy has often been misinterpreted and criticized. Many have equated Machiavelli's pragmatism with immorality, and the term Machiavellian is often used pejoratively to describe manipulative or deceitful behavior in politics. However, such a view overlooks the complexities of his thought. Machiavelli was not advocating for unrestrained manipulation or dishonesty. Rather, he was offering a guide to rulers on how to navigate a world filled with chaos and uncertainty. His emphasis was on survival and stability, not on the pursuit of personal gain at any cost. In this light, Machiavelli's ideas can be seen as a response to the brutal political realities of his time, where rulers often faced both external threats and internal instability. In modern times, Machiavelli's principles continue to be misinterpreted by those who reduce his work to a set of unscrupulous tactics. However, his writings also contain profound insights into the nature of power and governance that can be applied in more ethical ways. His advocacy for practical decision-making, the importance of adaptability, and the need for effective leadership remain central to the modern political landscape. Machiavelli as a precursor to political realism. Machiavelli is often seen as the father of political realism, a school of thought that emphasizes the role of power and human nature in political life. Realism rejects the idealistic assumptions of earlier political theories, such as those put forth by philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, who emphasize the pursuit of justice and the common good. In contrast, political realism focuses on the inherent conflict and competition between states and the necessity of acting in one's own interest. Machiavelli's work laid the groundwork for later thinkers in the realist tradition, including Thomas Hobbes, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Hans Morgenthau. His observations about human nature, power dynamics, and the unpredictability of politics resonate with modern political scientists and international relations scholars who continue to explore the complexities of power. Machiavelli's influence is particularly evident in the field of international relations, where his ideas on statecraft, diplomacy, and the balance of power continue to shape the way leaders approach foreign policy. In a world where nations vie for dominance, Machiavelli's realism provides a framework for understanding the motivations of states and the strategies they employ to secure their interests. Conclusion: Machiavelli's continued relevance. Ultimately, Machiavelli remains a crucial figure in the study of political theory and practice. His philosophy offers valuable lessons for understanding the complexities of power, governance, and international relations. Despite the criticism of his seemingly amoral approach, Machiavelli's ideas provide a realistic and pragmatic guide to leadership in a world that is often unpredictable and hostile. In today's interconnected and competitive world, Machiavelli's teachings continue to inform political strategies at both the domestic and international levels. His work remains essential for understanding the dynamics of power and the challenges faced by political leaders in navigating the turbulent waters of governance. Whether one agrees or disagrees with his conclusions, Machiavelli's influence on modern politics cannot be denied, and his ideas will continue to provoke debate and inspire new reflections on the nature of power and political leadership.